Hey everybody, quick Patreon plug before the video starts properly. I have one. And if you join today, you can get access to videos like this early, some behind-the-scenes facts and cool stuff, as well as this neat sticker. Aren't they cute? And the sticker's not bad either. Quick shout out and thank you to the following patrons, who, for your listening pleasure, I will now say all at the exact same time. Trenchcoat. Yeah, I bet that was fun to listen to. But yeah, patreon.com/SpacemanScott. I don't actually know if that's the URL, but it's linked everywhere, so. Anyways, take it away, me. What's up, Slimes? It's your boy, Spaceman Scott here. Twink Death survivor and Bella Swan's dad, apparently. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the world. Undertale. And also one of my least favorite things in the world. Genocide. Not a big fan of genocide, personally. That's just not for me. Now, I know what you're thinking. And you should probably see someone about it. It's pretty dark stuff, my man. Why talk about the Undertale genocide route like, what, fucking 9 years after the game came out? Simple. Money as we hit the light. Because the Undertale genocide route is gaming's best showcase of true evil. I lied, there's nothing there. Fuck you. Without further ado and more hand-wringing horseshit, let's get straight into the news. What is playing behind me? Let's talk about evil in video games. I guess that counts. Portraying morality and immorality have been a long-time struggle for video games, and not without good reason. In the nearly consequence-free worlds of games like GTA or Fallout, your choices to be evil are pretty surface level, often only really as nuanced as you choose to make them. Rarely, if ever, will playing a morally bad or evil character change the story of the game in such a way beyond an arbitrary karma meter ticking one way or another. Most games, while often containing branching narratives, still have a set ending point for you to get to. Sure, there might be some small differences based on your choices during the playthrough, but one way or another, you'll still arrive at some version of the same ending as everyone else does. You can make Lee Everett the most stone-cold scumbag piece of shit this side of Atlanta, but that won't change the outcome of the game. You either die of a zombie bite, or get domed by an 8-year-old. Happens more often than you think. You can make Commander Shepard the evilest bastard this side of the Citadel, but that doesn't mean your crew will treat you any differently. And aside from some minor story changes, things still go on as if you were choosing Paragon the whole time. Yeah, Dad, I nuked an entire settlement of innocent civilians. You know, for the vine. How does that make you feel?
All those people. You're still my daughter, and I love you. But I can't begin to tell you how disappointed in you I am.
Yeah, it is what I thought. Yes, this is a thing you can do, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pointless.
You know, this is just the perfect excuse to visit Vivid City.
You can kill, maim, nuke, or whatever the fuck else in your time in the Capital Wasteland, but come hell or pure water, your ass is going to that chamber. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that evil options aren't a worthwhile addition to games or that they serve no purpose. Giving players the option to make their character objectively a dick can go a long way in role-playing and player immersion. But ultimately, these evil choices really don't amount to much. At least not in the greater scheme of things. Video games as a medium just haven't really been able to accommodate for the overarching consequences that would come about from a genuinely evil playthrough of their main stories. Or at least, that's what I once thought. Until I played Undertale. Famously made in our favorite game-making engine, Game Maker Studios. Not making that mistake again. Undertale is a single-player RPG adventure game in the same vein as Earthbound or Mother 3. Complete with kooky characters, fun side content, and the most depressing, nihilistic depiction of true evil ever put to gaming. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's first talk about what makes Undertale special. You got all that? Good. But an aspect of Undertale that I neglected to mention in that video is that it remembers. What do I mean by that? I mean that the game remembers your past choices, mistakes, and sins. And it has no reservations about reminding you of them. Let's say you start a playthrough, kill a few monsters, including Toriel, and then decide to restart. While a vast majority of the world of Undertale has no knowledge of your past killings, Flowey isn't as ignorant.
Clever. Very clever. You think you're really smart, don't you? In this world, it's kill or be killed. So you were able to play by your own rules. You spared the life of a single person. But don't act so cocky. I know what you did. You murdered her, and then you went back because you regretted it.
In your fight with Toriel on that second playthrough, when you click the talk option, the narrator says, "You thought about telling Toriel that you saw her die, but that's creepy." Later in the game, if you've died to Asgore a few times, selecting the talk option gives you, "You tell Asgore that he's killed you too many times to count. He nods grievously." Simply put, Undertale is a game that on some level is aware of your choices and finds great joy in reminding you that even if you have reset, restarted, or respawned, you still made them. But why does that matter? Sure, Undertale remembers, but most consequences for your actions don't really manifest themselves on subsequent playthroughs. Flowey can taunt you all he likes about murking Toriel in a past run, but that doesn't change the fact that she's still snail posting on main in this one.
I just think they're neat.
Sorry, Flowey, but I don't give a photosynthesis shit about what you do and don't remember. I rewound the clock, so that means it doesn't matter anymore. But what if it did? What if your actions had consequences beyond a snarky-ass flower subtweeting you every few hours? Well, that's where the genocide route comes in. Of the 3 available routes of Undertale, none are quite as infamous or as short as that of the genocide or no mercy route. This route sees you treating Undertale for what it is, an RPG, complete with endless amounts of XP grinding, monster murder, and... The genocide route's mastery in game design is all about how the game, and by extension its characters within, try desperately to dissuade you from going through with it. It attempts to do this by 3 means. By being really fucking boring, by denying you the same fun you'd have in a normal playthrough, and of course, the bosses. But let's start off with the first one. On the face of it, a genocide route sounds super interesting. In most games, being evil only results in a few rarely significant changes. Some different dialogue here, maybe a new encounter there, just small stuff. And while very superficial, it does make you think you're having an effect on the world you're playing in. But Undertale goes way beyond that. Yes, there's new dialogue and new encounters, but more importantly, the world realistically reacts to your evil. By the time your massacre through the ruins is complete, most of the underground is evacuated, leaving once bustling areas devoid of any life whatsoever. Characters that once filled the roles of temporary obstacles or comedy relief are pushed to their absolute limits, devoting whatever remains of their lives to try and stop you. Hell, the final boss is a character you don't even get to fight in the normal playthroughs, and he's the hardest one in the game? All these things sound really interesting on the tin, until you actually play it. You see, aside from a few standout moments of truly epic spectacle, genocide routes are really fucking boring. Unlike most RPGs, Undertale does not have an endless reserve of enemies for you to battle. Each main area in Undertale only has a set number of enemies you can encounter before you're shown the universal tagline for antidepressants. But your chance of encountering monsters decreases with each battle you win, meaning that by the time you're trying to kill the last 2 or 3 of them, you'll be walking around for minutes at a time, just hoping that an encounter happens. It's tedious, boring, and it's all in service to a goal that you know is ultimately wrong. And keep in mind that you have to do this for the 4 main areas in the game: Ruins, Snowdin, Waterfall, and Hotland, each of which have their own set amount of enemies, ranging from the tedious but manageable to the absolute fucking worst. Yeah, enjoy walking around for 3 hours just hoping you'll run into another tsundere plane, you fucking psychopath. But my point is that for all the dramatic animations and comics that people make about the genocide route, 95% of it is just you walking back and forth. Endlessly. Just waiting for... oh, thank fuck. And the best part? Once you finally culled an area of all of its inhabitants, you'll still get encounters. The game will trick you into thinking you might have missed an enemy or 2, only to remind you that, no, you got them all. It's like Undertale just wants to remind you that, hey, you killed everybody here. Remember that time you killed everybody? Man, sure would be cool to have someone show up here. Except you killed all of them, but hey, so what if killing monsters is a little tedious? It's still Undertale, there's plenty of other things to do for fun, right? If you've played Undertale to completion before, then you know firsthand just how brimming with life this game is, and in contrast, you'll see just how stripped down it becomes once you start killing everyone. Yeah, imagine that. Which brings us to our second aspect, denial of fun. Once initiating a genocide route, you'll start to notice all the ways that the rest of the game has changed. Ambient tracks have taken on a more ominous, almost somber feel, as they've been slowed down and at times changed to a lower pitch. Puzzles that were once staples of certain areas are either skipped entirely or left already completed. Entire set pieces have been stripped down to nothing but just another chamber to walk down. For lack of better words, Undertale becomes a walking simulator. All the fun mini-games and extra content having been taken away from you. It's like the game is saying, okay, you want to kill every monster in the underground? Then do it. You don't need to solve puzzles or interact with goofy characters. Those would just be distractions. So go ahead. Keep killing. This aspect works in tandem with the first, keeping the tedious gameplay loop of walking around, waiting for a monster to appear, as the only gameplay loop you have. There's nothing to break up the monotony or take your mind off the task at hand. It's boring, it's depressing, and that's the point. Kill all the monsters in ruins before encountering Nobstablook, and he won't even appear. Kill all the monsters before reaching Snowdin, and it's a ghost town. Want to do those fun firing puzzles in Hotland? No need. They're already completed by the time you get there. In any other game, your wanton destruction doesn't affect much of anything at all. The devs made sure that there were failsafes to allow for the story and narrative to continue no matter what evil shit you did. Hell, being evil in some games can even be fun, as new dialogues or changes to small things in the world can motivate you to keep being evil and see what else happens. In Undertale, that aspect isn't there. You need to be dedicated to your choice in killing literally everybody. You will find no dopamine, no satisfaction, no inspiring moments of catharsis that motivate you to go forward. And that boredom you feel is what makes it evil, because despite you getting literally nothing out of it, you're still choosing to be a monster. Both of these are in service to the game's main goal, getting you to stop playing it. How do you stop a player from completing a game when every failure can simply be undone with a reset? You make the game unpleasant to play. You make their evil actions feel tedious, monotonous, and not worth it. You deny them the experiences and fun that they would have had in a normal playthrough. You make the world that they're destroying devoid of life or anything of note. In short, you make the experience as miserable as possible, all in the hopes that eventually they'll just give up. If you've ever attempted a genocide route and quit before it was over out of boredom or just sheer lack of interest, the game did its job. It successfully made you decide that your evil actions weren't worth it. But as I'm sure we're all aware, miserable experiences aren't enough for some folk. If you truly want someone to give up, you'll need something with a little more kick. Or in this case, someone.
You're gonna have to try a little harder than that!
If you know anything about genocide routes, it's probably that the sexy fish lady gets super strong, gets a cool looking eye, and proceeds to fuck your shit up. Guess that's sort of a trend now that I think about it. Anyways, the genocide route flaunts 3 new bosses for you to battle. Okay, scratch that. 2 new bosses for you to battle. Undyne the Undying and Sans the Skeleton. These bosses are hard. Like, really hard. Like evening Chardonnay with Toy Chica hard. And that's kind of the point. If you've gotten this far in your run, endured all the boredom, and are still dead set on seeing things through to the end, then the game knows it has to change up its approach. People are pretty split on which boss is more difficult, Undyne or Sans, and honestly, I don't really think it matters. Both of them do a great job in achieving the goals they set out to do, which is to make you suffer, lose, and retry until you eventually stop. I mean, how many of you decided to quit your genocide route because you couldn't get past Undyne? And to be fair, I really can't blame you. After all, what's your motivation for this fight? Ooh boy, if I can just beat Undyne, I can get back to the blood-pumping experience of walking around for hours and killing things. For the limited roles they play, Undyne and Sans do their jobs amazingly, having probably stopped a good majority of the genocide routes ever attempted. Ultimately, these 3 aspects working together help to create a genuinely awful experience. One filled with boredom, tedium, and eventually rage as you attempt time after time to defeat what are truly the hardest bosses Toby Fox has ever created. It's supposed to suck. It's supposed to make you quit. It's ultimately supposed to be a bad time.
Huh. That expression. That's the expression of someone who's died 12 times in a row.
I didn't hear no bell. Now y'all really didn't think I could go a whole video without talking about my boy, did you? What can be said about Sans the Skeleton? Ahem. What advertiser-friendly things can be said about Sans the Skeleton? Well, he's the hardest boss in Undertale. Stop it! Has a kick-ass battle theme, though jury's still out on whether that's actually your battle theme or not. Has some of the hardest moves to dodge in the game, and most importantly, proves the entire point of this video. Sans knows that killing you won't stop you. If that were the case, then Undyne or any number of the other monsters you faced earlier would have ended this long ago. No, he's aware of resets, up to the point where the motherfucker knows how many times he's killed you. And so, his approach to stopping your genocide route goes beyond trying to induce a rage quit. You see, Sans is different from Undyne. Sure, both are immensely difficult bosses whose main goal is to make you so frustrated you abandon the run altogether, but Sans is different. It's almost like he learned from your fight with Undyne, seeing how you kept coming back again and again, gradually getting better and eventually killing her. Sans knows that you'll probably try the same thing with him.
Hey, take it from me, kid. Someday, you gotta learn when to quit. And that day's today. Cause, you see, all this fighting is really tiring me out. And if you keep pushing me, well, then I'll be forced to use my special attack. Yeah, my special attack. Sound familiar? Well, get ready, because after the next move, I'm gonna use it. So if you don't want to see it, now would be a good time to, well, die. Well, here goes nothing. Yep. That's right. It's literally nothing. And it's not gonna be anything either. You get it? I know I can't beat you. One of your turns, you're just gonna kill me. So, I decided it's not gonna be your turn. Ever. I'm just gonna keep having my turn until you give up. Even if it means we're gonna stand here until the end of time. Capiche? You'll get bored here. If you haven't gotten bored already, I mean. Then you'll finally quit. I know your type. You're, very determined, aren't you? You'll never give up, even if there's, well, absolutely no benefit to persevering whatsoever. No matter what, you'll just keep going. Not out of any desire for good or evil, but just because you think you can. And because you can, you have to. But now, you've reached the end. There's nothing left for you now. So, the most determined thing you can do here is to, well, completely give up. Do literally anything else?
Sans's final speech to you is pretty much the game talking through him. This playthrough stopped being about being evil for the sake of it a long time ago, and is now pretty much just you deciding to see things through for the hell of it. Sans, Undyne, hell, the entire underground were just challenges for you to overcome. Obstacles that you deluded yourself into thinking you had to defeat just because you could. Make no mistake, you're still an evil bastard in this playthrough, but that was the case before you even killed your first monster. Nothing made you do a genocide route, and you more than likely already knew what was in store for you before you even reset the game to do it. But it was something to do. A possible route that, whether out of a completionist mentality or just some morbid curiosity, you decided to see through to the end, even though it wasn't fun, wasn't even rewarding. And as a last-ditch attempt to defeat you, to get you to quit this fool's errand, Sans denies you your turn. Content to let this battle continue on forever, if it means that one day you'll just give up. Content to spend the rest of his life staring you down, waiting for you to quit the game. Content enough to fall asleep. After Sans dies, the genocide route is more or less complete. There are no other bosses, no monsters, no obstacles between you and the Absolute. Even if you don't know this, the game does. It's failed in stopping you from completing this route. It pulled out all the stops, did everything in its power to bore you, depress you, and enrage you, but ultimately came up short. It has nothing else to throw at you, and so it stops trying. Upon reaching the throne room, you speak with Asgore for only a moment, before he's anticlimactically killed by Flowey, whom you kill shortly after. Once you've done so, you're greeted with your final prize. Kara.
You know, it's actually pronounced...
It's actually pronounced Kara both is and isn't you. Yes, in lore, your destruction of the underground helped to bring Kara's soul back to life, as they gradually began to egg you on and assist you on your genocide. Every time you gained more power, killed another monster, etc. That was Kara, working through you. Some people have likened this to possession, as if Kara was acting through Frisk in their rampage through the underground. However, Kara makes a clear distinction that, despite their enabling, this was still your idea, your plan, your genocide. Saying that the whole reason for the genocide route was because Kara made me do it is a cop-out, and would lessen the effect of what was, ultimately, your choice to kill the entire underground. Now, the two of you are partners, equals, two sides of the same deadly coin. The human vessel who awakens the demon, and the demon that enables the hand of the human. Kara couldn't have done this without you, and whether you wish to shirk the blame or not, deep down, you know that. You're given the option to erase this world and move on to the next, or to refuse the offer outright. Your choice doesn't really matter, as whether you agree with Kara or not, the world as you know it ceases to be. Boot up Undertale again, and you're met with nothing. A suffocating void of nothing. This is your reward. Your reward for a job well done. Aren't you pleased? You worked hard for this. Is this not what you wanted? Was this not the ultimate goal of your genocide route? Why aren't you happy? Wait long enough, and Kara asks you the same thing. They're puzzled by your wish to return to a world you tried so hard to destroy. It was you who brought this world to the edge, and yet you wish to return to it. Is it out of guilt? Regret? Some perverse sentimentality? Or maybe to do it all again? Do you even know? Either way, Kara is more than willing to oblige. On one condition. You give them your soul. Agree to it, and they keep their word, resetting the world of Undertale to its original state, free for you to play whatever route you wish. But you should know, the price of one's soul is not something to be so freely exchanged. If you recall, Undertale remembers, and upon finishing the game again, you get to see exactly what I mean. And well, that's the genocide route. It's boring, tedious, difficult, and results in one of the darkest endings you can possibly achieve for a game. And that's why it works so well. True, unflinching, unfeeling evil is not something that most games can muster in any meaningful way. So long as you can get joy from your evil actions, there will always be the excuse that your evilness is simply performative. A way for you to try out new character interactions and see what might happen if you do this or that. Now you tell me, is that evil or just morbid curiosity? I'd argue that being truly evil is pursuing an evil goal with no promise of satisfaction or catharsis. To persist on a road of destruction despite the fact that you're actively gaining nothing from it. To be bored and unhappy, but to carry on despite that. That is true evil. To return to my thesis statement, being evil in most games really only goes as deep as you want it to be. Whether it be a bit of flavor for the character you're trying to roleplay or just some superficial changes to the world around you, being evil in most games doesn't amount to much. It doesn't change the ending in terribly different ways, as more often than not, games and their devs aren't interested in making you come face to face with the consequences of your evil deeds. That's not the case in Undertale. Not only do your evil actions change the course of the entire game, but seeing them through forever taints any and all subsequent playthroughs after the fact. Unless you literally go into the game files and do a hard reset of the game, your copy of Undertale is ruined. Forever. And that's what makes Genocide Roots so compelling. Because they dare to make you come face to face with not only your most ingrained instincts as a gamer, but also the distinction between true evil and morbid curiosity. But most importantly, it dares to make you face the consequences of your actions, forever dooming your copy of Undertale, all thanks to a playthrough that you didn't even have fun doing. And that's why the Genocide Route is gaming's best example of true evil. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you like this video, be sure to like this video, and if you like the content I make on this channel, please make sure to subscribe, tell your friends, hit that bell, and send me a vial of your blood. It's the only way I know if you're ride or die or not. And if there's anything I can leave you with, it's that Undertale was made in Game Maker, not RPG Maker. Let me fucking live! Quit!